following thoughts on Happy Hour do not represent Cox Media Group or its sponsoring. Anything you hear may and will be used against you. Thank you. Voted as best local podcast in Tampa Bay by the Creative Loafing. You're listening to Happy Hour.
Are you feeling classy today? Sit down, pour a glass of wine, and listen to Happy Hour.
You're tuned in to Happy Hour, an hour where Happy rants about something. Sit back and listen in. Happy Hour is on now. Happy Hour is on now.
What up? What is happening? This is Happy Hour. I am your host, Ryan Hoppe, and I saw this guy kill it back in the summer. The very funny local comedian known as Law Smith is live on the show. What's up, bro?
What's happening, man?
How are you doing, dude? Because you've done so much in comedy. Did you ever think that you'd be sitting at the Cox Media Building doing a podcast with Ryan Hoppe?
I called my mom on the way over here, and I was like, "Ma, this is a big milestone. I know proposing to my wife, that was going to be big, but I said this, Mama Smith. I call her Mama Smith. We keep it a little formal. I was like, this is gonna be the top of the mountain. This is gonna be it.
How proud was she?
She was like, yeah. How do I get that? And I was like, oh, it's like on-demand radio. You go online, and then she was like, never mind. You tried to fix my Wi-Fi, and you couldn't do it, and then we get in a fight about that. So, she was excited until we talked about me trying to do Geek Squad around the house.
Yeah, it's weird with podcasts because you'll like drop the line, I have a podcast that won an award. And they go, where can you hear the show? And I go, well, go to Spreaker.com/user/Ryan Hoppe or download the app.
Yeah.
So that's why I someday hope to be on the radio, because it's one of those things where you have to plug all the time, you know?
Well, I mean, it's tough because there is, and you're going to see this a lot with a lot of like entrepreneurial endeavors online. It's a fragmented market. So, you know, iTunes is the way I listen to y'all. And so there's SoundCloud, there's what was it? Spreaker. See, I don't like ones that are hard to spell. So that right there, I was like, I saw that and I was like, it feels like an Asian guy trying to spell speaker. And so there's there's so many mediums, you know, you could be on Spotify or you could be on Pandora, but those aren't on demand necessarily. But it gets in a lot of people's minds that aren't thinking about it. Because I do my own podcast. I've done a college football podcast for, I guess this is their 5th year. And it's the same thing, same conversation.
Yeah.
It's called The Triple Option. We're basically just doing college football opinions. We just have better opinions than you and your friends on the couch.
Yeah.
But it's basically that kind of scenario. I basically talk a lot of, wait, can I cuss on this? Is that?
Who gives a fuck?
Okay.
I never swear, but go ahead.
Well, I cuss a lot because I have a bad vocabulary, but as my dad says. But I've been doing that for 5 years, and it's still like, you got to what? How do I do that?
Yeah.
And then literally I'll take their phone and I'll go, hey, subscribe on iTunes. It's right there. And if that takes longer than 10 seconds, they're already checked out. And it's like, this is right. This is like Netflix for your ears, you know, and like they can't do it.
Yeah, dude, I just got an app. It's on the iOS and Google Play Shop, and my listens are up. Because when I was on TuneIn, which I am, or iTunes, go to TuneIn, search up Hoppe Radio, subscribe. Got no listens on mobile. But now that you have an app, people are like, woo, you got a pretty good show. It's amazing how slow of an attention span Americans have, you know.
Do you push notifications when the episode goes up?
I wish the app had that. The app doesn't have it. I'm like, welcome to the 21st century. Why wouldn't you have that?
Yeah. I mean, there's I could nerd out about this for an hour, so I won't get into it. But there's a bunch of now like kind of drag and drop app creators if you need to do that. But it sounds like you're kind of sunk cost is already.
I sort of paid $150 for a year.
Oh shit! Okay, well, I didn't know it was that. I didn't know it was big money. I didn't know it was that much, man.
I've made it.
Yeah, that was like going out with my wife last night just to get a light snack. So, but yeah, it's big money. I mean, you should definitely not reinvest in what you're doing. No, I'm thinking about doing an app and pushing it through my company that I started this summer, because I've got 2 podcasts coming out of the company and not me as the comedian. So we already know we're doing one called Sweat Equity, kind of a small startup to small to medium business, kind of realistic advice, and that'll be up probably next week of this recording. I don't know when these go out. So for you, do you bank them or do you?
I'm going to put it up by like midnight. It'll be up real soon.
Okay, so next week I'll have Sweat Equity up with my my buddy Caleb, who does client partner work for us.
Shut up, Mom.
No, don't worry about it. Let it ring, man. No, I have to have a checklist of everything right before I start. I have to be like, turn off phones, make sure that fridge isn't making noise in the background. Because we were talking about my bad memory off mic before we started.
Yeah,
I just have to write. I have lists everywhere like a maniac. And then all right, so then the next podcast, the third one I'm going to do is a legal podcast. My best friend's a lawyer. I've got a good buddy of mine that he'll hop on the triple option, do a little college football, but he's a badass corporate attorney. And I just feel like there's more legal stuff going on than ever. I feel like it's kind of like taxes in the legal system are more complicated to make you have this cottage industry of sorts. So I think it's interesting to have realistic advice, I guess, is kind of the main through line for both.
The one thing I liked about your podcast about sports was it was just 2 guys talking. It wasn't forced, because you watch the big national networks and it's all these journalists who never were good at sports, and they hide behind the keyword. And if they had one of the guys in front of them, they would want a selfie or a signature. But Skip Bayless spews his garbage. That's why I find sports journalism to be an absolute joke, bro.
It is. ESPN is, I think, the 3rd biggest media network in the world, I think. And so they dictate a lot of they dictate the storylines, really, and they dictate what's going to get trending for the most part. And so our whole thing was like that's kind of the reason we came up with the podcast, because I would call one of my best friends, Tommy, or a good friend of mine, Armin, and we'd be talking about football for an hour anyway. And doing stand up, you just you're peppering in jokes like, "Hey, did you know Dana Holgerson looks like Better Call Saul?" Bob Odenkirk. So it's one of those things where I think we had funny opinions that we can go almost anti-ESPN, like real authentic kind of stuff.
Now with the sports podcast, what's your background in it? Yeah, you play sports, you go to college, what?
So I played high school. No, so my dad was a professional football player, so I've always been around.
What team?
He played for the LA Rams and the Washington Redskins. Drafted in '69, second running back after OJ, and was drafted by George Allen's team, and then he was on the special teams his rookie year with the first special teams coach ever, Dick Vermeil. So I've been around football like an insane amount. It's kind of like you can't. I didn't even love it growing up until I was probably 4th, 5th grade, and then just from then on, kind of like a lot of comedy obsession. Yeah, just obsessed with football in every which way. I had to quit. Could have played probably maybe D2, D3, but got too many concussions. My senior year of high school, I was going partially blind on the field.
What are some of the worst parts about getting those? Is it just an absolute pain 24/7 where you can't focus?
What do you mean?
When you get a concussion?
Well, they were partial concussions, so it was I didn't know I had them, but I was like, hey, I don't think it's pretty good. What happened when I really found out was, so if you play outside linebacker like I did or strong safety, you come up, for those that don't know, you have usually 4 defensive linemen, and then you'll have 3. A strong safety basically is a safety that comes up as a linebacker, and you'll be that fourth guy. If there's a bunch of wide receivers out on either side, you have to kind of fan out to kind of cut the distance off between the lineman and the first wide receiver in case they pass it.
Yeah.
I would go partially blind. I couldn't see, like, if you broke your vision into verticals in a fourth, 1, 2, 3, 4 verticals. I know I'm doing hand gestures, but the third one, which would be a little bit right of center, I couldn't see anything. And it felt like if you rub your eyes for about 10 minutes, it has that speckly kind of thing. That's what it was. And I just thought, oh, well, I got my bell rung, and I didn't know how bad that was.
Yeah.
And I didn't know my brain's hitting my skull at some point and fucking me up. So I think like halfway through our season, I was like, I got to quit. I can't. This is dumb.
Even though you had to quit, were there ever any moments where you were so proud of yourself? Did you ever score a touchdown, or is there one highlight that comes to your mind?
Well, so I played JV. The varsity coach came down when we were sophomores. I knew I was better than I was giving credit. I just didn't know. I felt awkward playing football because I was like, I'll be a running back. I was a good pickup running back playing with kids in like 8th grade. I'd be like awesome. But I was playing with like a bunch of white kids, so what does that matter? And then I got my shit rocked when I tried freshman football. I was always fast, though. I played soccer growing up, and I had speed. And so the varsity coach came down to watch a JV game. He was a family friend, and he basically asked the JV coach, hey, can you put him in at linebacker? Just go tell him to blitz. And I was playing wide receiver. I'd never done any of this stuff, and I think I got in and got a sack immediately. And so that was pretty cool because much like comedy, it's like you think you can do it, and like doing this, you know, you think you can do it. You're gonna get out there and do it, and then you see like a marginal success, and you're like, okay, that gives me a little snowball, and that's a little like that's the flicker, that's the flint to get you going, kind of thing. So it's I was telling. I was with a creative loafing writer yesterday. They're going to do a comedy for the Tampa Bay area. They're going to do a comedy issue. And I was telling them, like, yeah, if I didn't do well that first open mic, it'd be pretty tough. I don't know if I could say I'd go right back, you know, because it went really well the first time I did it. But, you know, it's like if you bomb ass on stage, that's like one of the biggest fears everybody has. So I can't say I would be like, oh yeah, I bombed. I've got the ego to make sure I'll be back the next Wednesday, you know?
Now, if you do go out there and you fail, you fall right in your face, is there a school you can go to? Is there classes you can take? Like, say, I'm not good at comedy. If I want to go, hey, I want to be a stand-up comic tomorrow, could I go to a class? You
shouldn't do a stand-up class. If you want to do stand-up, you should write a lot, write everything down. Like I have my nerd notepad in front of me in case we're talking about something and I'm like, okay, I should maybe talk about this on stage. Or if I'm like, all right, I need to go on Amazon and buy pop filters for these guys for their mics.
I got that.
It's one of those things where it's
pop filters, headphones. Got it.
Yeah, headphones, pop filter. It again, a lot of money. It's $19, but and Amazon takes their time. It might take 2 days to get there.
I mean, that's a little more spending than I want to do, but
with just
maybe eBay. I'll try eBay used.
Well, just see some Amazon boxes on people's doorsteps, and just maybe some will be headphones and pop filters. I'm not saying a lot. I'm not saying the success rate will be great. I think failure's great. I didn't kind of really understand it until my later 20s, how valuable failure is. I guess when I started doing stand-up a lot and you get a tough skin, you almost feel like you can do anything. Improv, I tell everybody that is scared to talk on stage, that doesn't like going to cocktail parties, that can't get out of their own way when they're talking. It's one of those things where I've told probably 200 friends of mine, take an improv class. It'll change your life. I'm not saying you're going to be a Scientologist, change your life. I'm saying, like, it's the yes and principle. It's like, and the one friend that did it, he called me and he was like, I took improv class. And I was like, really? No shit? And he was like, yeah, that was the best thing I've ever done. And he's like, I've gone to parties and I'm not like dreading like, oh, this is going to suck. You just kind of make the best of whatever you're at. And I've become a better like conversationalist. You learn how to listen, which is huge.
Oh, yeah.
And getting worse every day with most people because we're so our attention's so divided. And so it's I'm glad I did it. I'm really glad I just had the gumption to go do a Groundlings class in LA. And I did, I don't know, 3 or 4 of them. I was just telling my wife, I saw my improv teacher midway through our class, my first class, like session. You do like 6 or 8 of them. 3-hour classes on a Monday night for like 8 weeks. And you're with some crazy people. They're like the nicest crazy people. They all want to be actors. They're too positive. Coming from the stand-up field, you're like, oh, God. But it helped you get empathy. You learn how to look at people and kind of, you might get their disposition a lot more. That helps crowd work on stage. But my improv teacher, she halfway through went on to SNL. And I was like, okay, this is a pretty good place. So she's on, her name's Michaela Watkins. She's on Casual.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. It's good.
She's really a great teacher, really cool person. I actually tweeted at her the other day. I was like, this is really cool that you're on this. You were my teacher. And she hit me back with a smiley face. So I'll put that up in my trophy room. But it's just cool to see, like, it's cool to be within arm's reach of someone that, to me, SNL is kind of the highest thing.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's kind of like, wow, that's really awesome. And she worked her ass off, too. So,
what is your dream gig for being a comedian? Like, my dream gig is to have a show like Drew's or Billy Madison or Kelta where you're the main guy and you have a crew around you. And I don't care what time slot it is, midnight to 4, 5 to 10 a.m. I just want to make it in radio. What's your dream gig as a comedian?
So starting out, it would be something like that. I want to be a road comic. That's what I want to do. And then I see this, I almost see a parallel with like technology. You know, we look at like iPhone 3 and you'd be like, oh, gross. You're like, oh, that phone sucks.
Yeah.
It's kind of that way. Like I look back at that, I'm like, oh God, I'm glad I did some of that and it didn't satisfy that much, mostly financially. It's tough to make a living doing stand-up. A lot of people don't realize that. And then I look at guys that I really respect. One guy that's out of Tampa or from Tampa is Bert Kreischer. I listen to his podcast a lot. Great dude too. He's been very nice to me. He's on the road 40. If he wasn't doing TV, he was on the road 44 to 48 weekends a year. That means basically 5 days away from his family. And I could see that down the line. And so I just basically said, I kind of want to dictate my stand-up. It's going to take longer for sure. I'm definitely not where I want to be at 10 years of doing this, but I'm a lot more satisfied that I'm in the position where I work my ass off during the day as well, started my own company, and we have too much work to handle at the moment. So, but I can do this from anywhere now. I'm the boss, and all I have to do is, call in orders. So I don't need to go on the road that much. I can go, as long as I'm not just a shitty comic. Ideally, I'd love to do like 15, 20, weekends or 40 road dates, whatever you want to call it, actual days. And I like building a scene here. I think Tampa has a lot of potential. We just have a transient city, so a lot of people just bounce. But I don't know. I think it's like, what do you want to do overall? Do you want to be a radio guy, and you're like, all right, I've got the commute home time period, right? But
Yeah.
that's the goal now. But we'll talk in 5 years. You may have that, and you're like, I'm glad I started with a podcast too, because I'm doing both. Because you're gonna have to do both. You know?
Oh yeah.
And it's like with stand up, you can't just do stand up. That's why I left LA, because I was like, I don't want to be an actor.
Is it sad when you're in Los Angeles and everyone's so giddy? Ooh, I'm going to be an actor, and you just see there's no chance in hell. Is it weird when you're in like an improv class or you meet people and you know they have no shot in hell?
Yeah, it's a bummer, but that kind of exists everywhere. They're just more vocal about it. I mean, I guarantee if you're listening to this and you work in an office, there's people that think they should be the CEO, and you're just like, nah, son, you don't have that. You're not a sociopath enough. You know, like,
Yeah.
some people think they're going to make the next app or, you know, be the next tech guru or whatever, but they don't really do a lot of self-reflection. I think low self-esteem is actually good in that instance. I think having low self-esteem pushes you harder.
Yeah.
And so I think that was stand-up. When you're starting to feel too good about yourself, something's going to knock you down.
I've noticed that.
It's just the ebbs and flows of stand-up and possibly life. I don't know, but right when I'm like, yeah, this joke's fucking killing it. I just heard one joke I've been doing for a year and a half that I really love. Someone just did it on Nathan For You, or I guess they did it on Nathan For You, and I was
Really?
like, that sucks. I'm still gonna do it because it's mine, and I clearly have like a YouTube video up from a year and a half ago. But if someone calls me out, it's gonna feel shitty, you know. So, because you won't win that conversation if it's just some stranger.
Yeah, dude. I hate people that just hide behind a keyboard and talk shit.
Right.
I mean, there's nothing worse than these pussies who would never say it to our face, because I'm sure you might have had drunk people at shows that say you suck, but no sober person ever says that because they don't have the guts, because then there's face-to-face interaction. But when you're online, you have a keyboard and that's your weapon. Don't you find that ridiculous? Because being on the radio, you see that. You have the people that love you behind the keyboard, but then you have the antisocial pussies that would never say it.
Totally agree. I've trained myself already, but I'm a nerd during the day. I mean, my whole company is basically, we do consulting for, you know, startup to medium business, mostly on the online side. Now, it's not all on the online side, because if you own like a shoe store or something, just for example, your website needs to reflect how the store actually is.
Yeah.
You know, it's got to be symbiotic. So with online comments, just with working with clients, I just know you could do the best. We just did we donated hours for an event called Pig Jig, and it's in Tampa. It's for a kidney disease, nephrotic syndrome that our buddy had, and then we've built it into this big country music family during the day, barbecue competition. And I was telling everybody, I was like, don't be nervous. I'm going to handle all the online comments. I'm going to delete them. I'm going to be the quality control on this. But we could have we could do everything flawless. There's still going to be 1% of them that have to have their voice heard.
Yeah.
We had people like, $25. This is bullshit, man. There's not even barbecue for me. And it's like, clearly this is a competition with the people that sponsor it. Like, you pay $5,000 as a team to get in.
Yeah.
But no one read anything, so their own laziness made them pissed. I tried to explain this to the whole board that we were on, and they didn't get it. And they're like, oh my God, what are you going to do? And I was like, I'm going to delete it. That's what I'm going to do, because you can mute that just as easily. And so you just have to know most adults suck. I mean, I borrow this line from Adam Carolla. It's like, did you ever think when you were a kid adults would be this fucking dumb?
Did you?
I thought all adults were brilliant, like way smarter than I am. And I realized, most are idiots and or lazy.
Dude, things are getting worse, too. I feel like that Mike Judge movie, Idiocracy, is just coming to life, man. It's getting bad, dude.
Way before its time. Man, that movie
is
awesome.
brilliant.
Yeah. I'm big Mike Judge fan, but I mean, like, the whole thing about like electrolytes and like.
I like money.
I love. President Camacho is like the best character ever.
Trump.
No. I mean, Trump. I don't think Trump really thinks he's gonna do it. I think he's just like, fuck it. I have so much money,
and people are dumb.
I'm gonna talk shit. It's kind of refreshing. I was telling someone the other day. It's nice to see someone, not have the politician talk. You know, like they went to Dale Carnegie School.
Right.
But like, he's still not that funny or that like interesting whatever he's talking about. But compared to everybody else, he's a comedian, and it's like, okay, you don't even have to say that much. That's how bad politics are.
Dude, I hate guys like Rand Paul and Marco Rubio. They talk so professional, but you know they're absolute fucking phonies. Where they are just the worst human beings ever, but they try to come off so like likable. You know what I mean? It's phony politics.
Yeah, but we like it. That's the problem, man. It's one of those things. It's like, this is back to the theory. Most Americans are dumb and or lazy. It's like American adults, and it's like, for whatever reason, we like this kind of.
I don't.
We don't. You and I don't. But I'm saying, like, most Americans do for whatever reason. They want to live in this like this fantasy land that, you know, these politicians are the people that speak with impeccable points. They're so articulate. They're polished, and it's like the worst politicians are the ones that go the hardest in one area, and then you find out, like the southern like Republican guy that's always like fuck gay marriage, and then he turns out he's banging truckers,
doing like glory holes.
Yeah, and it's like, well, and then you have Democrats that are in the pockets of big unions and stuff, and it's like all these guys are scumbags. I think I hope there will be some kind of independent. And I'm not talking like Bernie Sanders, but
he scares the shit out of me, dude. I don't know why. He just comes off like a crazy old man.
Yeah, and that's almost refreshing in a Trump way too, because he doesn't give a shit either. I loved Ron Paul, not Rand Paul, but Ron Paul. I really liked what he was about. And when he was running, he was like, "I'm 84. I don't give a shit."
Do you think he was ahead of his time too, in a way?
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's like a YouTube video. It's like Ron Paul. It's almost like it's like a badass like. He calls out like 10 things that are going to happen. This is like in 2000 or something, and it's on C-SPAN. So back in the day, it was boring.
No one watched it either.
Right, but he calls out like, I can't remember this. It's been a couple years since I've seen it, but it was like he basically predicts 10 things that are going to happen that are pretty reasonable the way he says it. He's not like a crazy old guy. He was like, we're going to get in a fight. We're gonna invest more funds in the Middle East, and we shouldn't. And like all these things, and you're like, I want that guy. And then when he ran, everyone's like, ew, he's old. He's going to die in office. And that's why he lost. Or that's why he bowed out.
What do you think of Hillary Clinton? She scares me,
I
dude.
I don't think of her very much at all. Like, I think she's a zero to me.
She just seems like she wants to be president just to have that name.
She's done less for women. She's been a negative for women's rights. Trump has done more for women than I'm serious. I'm like, she's the worst, and I don't want this to turn into a filibuster. No political pun intended. But she's just like, she's horrible. I think people will see through that veneer, and it. To me, I don't know. It looks like a Rubio Bernie man. And Bernie, my buddy and I were laughing about this. We're like, they're like, Mr. Sanders, or what is he? He's senator.
Yeah,
Senator of Vermont. Senator Sanders, what's your economic plan? He's like, everybody gets even. And you're like, what? And he's like, even Stevens, fair square. And you're like, that's not an economic plan. He's like, yep. Next question. You're like, what the fuck? This is the guy? So, I don't know, man. I was actually talking with a buddy last night that has political aspirations, and we were going over this, and it's like, I think it'll be interesting when our generation gets about 15 years older and has, the capital, a little bit more experience, but mostly the reach to be able to talk. And I told him, I flirt with the idea, kind of daydreaming, but half serious. I was like, it would be fun to run for mayor of Tampa, because I'm from Tampa. I'm one of the few families that's been here for over 100 years, and I love the area, but I hate politicians. So I was like, it'd be interesting. It'd be really fun to do like, oh, I don't care if I lose, like Trump's doing almost.
Yeah.
But I would love to like kind of run for the mayor of Tampa just to talk shit, and then I don't care if I win or lose. If I win, I'll do whatever I have to do. But if I lost, at least I got the message out there that our education system's terrible. We probably need more vocational schools.
I hate the bike paths, dude. Oh my God, is that dangerous? All the cyclists just think they run the road. That's what I would get rid of, dude. I'm getting sick and tired of that.
Well, that part. I'm with you on that. It's
the worst.
The guy in the whole like Lance Armstrong-ish gear. Like,
yes.
Like, okay, we get it, buddy. You're into this, okay? I got you. But I'm saying like, it's a two-pronged problem because we have some of the worst drivers because everybody's from everywhere else.
Yeah, right.
And then we have old people, and then we have
drunk drivers.
We lead the league in people going the wrong way on the highway. And I've been bitching about this for literally 3 years. I'm like, why don't we have a light rail? We want to expand the interstate system here. That's a goddamn joke. It's going to go through historic areas, which are pretty run down, so no one thinks of them as historic areas. But why not a light rail? It costs the same amount of money. You know how much it costs for $275? It's like $1 million a mile or something like that. $1 billion or something.
Yeah.
Something like absurd. Like someone told me that, and I was like, "Fuck you!" And then he was like, "I'll look it up, bitch." And then we looked it up, and he was right. It's like it's almost an Onion article amount of money per mile on 275. And you know what? We've done this for 20-year cycles. It keeps doing this way. And then you look at the future, you go Uber, Lyft. There's another company that's going to change the rental car game called Turo. And you're going to have driverless cars in the future. So why are we spending a goddamn lot of money on infrastructure we kind of don't need? If anything, we need a light rail that starts at the Brandon Mall.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is a national show, so I apologize. But get out your Google map if you're not familiar with the area. You start and look, this is in a lot of cities. Like Phoenix tried this and really shit the bed on it. But start at the Brandon Mall, go on the Leroy Selman Expressway. You go through Ybor City, the historic area. You go through South Tampa, a lot of rich guys. Go on the spine of that. Go do a raised light rail all across Gandy Bridge. Go around to where this studio is on 4th. Or you could take 275. However, you got to get to St. Pete downtown. You're passing through Old Money over in St. Pete, so you're satisfying those taxpayers that pay for their house taxes.
Yeah.
I don't think that's that crazy. I talk to a lot of people, and they're like, and this is where the lazy factor comes in. They're like, I don't know, man. It seems like a lot of work. And it's like, yeah, no shit. Yeah, it's a lot of work. It's not going to be easy at all. No. But, I mean, like, are you guys satisfied with the traffic? We're the number 5 traffic metropolis in the country.
Oh, it's the worst, dude.
We're 18th in population.
It's dangerous, dude. In St. Pete, man, it gets bad.
Number 5, though. 5. Think about that.
We're not even that big of a market.
L.A. You got L.A.
Chicago.
I guess Chicago.
New York.
I was going Atlanta, Houston for sure. We're number 18th in population.
Yeah. Something's
fucked. And by the way, maybe you get a light rail. You take it from that first leg I was talking about. Take it from downtown St. Pete. Oh, eventually it gets down to the beaches. Okay. Now if you're in the suburbs in Brandon, you could get all the way from there over to the beach, and you don't have to take your car. You can just take your family, which actually helps the beach towns a lot. Then you figure out how to get back on US 19 all the way up to take it up the spine of that, raise all the way to Tarpon Springs. Now you just covered so much area, maybe one of the worst highways I've ever been on, and it's 4 or 5 lanes on either side.
Yeah.
It's horrible. Take that, make it a triangle like Zelda, all the way back to the airport. And then you're connecting back in downtown. Now you've got a way to get to the airport. You don't need to use the interstate. I don't know why a comedian has to throw this out there. That's where I get.
That's
really
where
pissed.
it's sad.
Yeah. So I don't know. I might go to one of those rallies, even though it's probably a waste of time. But
dude, why is Florida so goddamn crazy, man? You've been here your whole life, dude. You were just speaking the truth. I got your point, but that's because I'm from the Midwest. I'm not from here.
Right.
It seems like when I saw your show live, when you did that part of the bit, it didn't have. That's when you had the least amount of laughs.
Sure.
Because everyone's like, wow, that's a lot of work. But everything else, when you made jokes about movies from the 90s.
I don't even remember talking about this on stage. I have
a good memory.
Apparently, no. It's because everybody's from everywhere else. 30 Rock had the best line ever. It's America's Australia. It's basically one of the earliest jokes I ever had. Was it's basically the kitchen garbage can. You're chopping up a bunch of shit, and you're just scraping a bunch of crap into the. You're like, oh, okay, well, the warm weather, that's good for the joints. And then it's also a sanctuary state, no income state tax. So you have that. So you have the
sun's out all the time.
So, well, you have the weather. I learned this when I was in L.A. I volunteered for a group that helped homeless families because there's 5,000 homeless families in Southern California.
Yeah.
Something crazy like that. They're so progressive. They've done a great job. Good job, L.A. And so, Skid Row, great place. And so, I have an argument with my buddies in California. It's an email thread we've had for probably 5 years now, and it's called the Crazy Debate, Florida versus California.
Yeah.
And I said California is internally they're imploding. Florida's crazy on the outside. We're aware of the problems like traffic we were just talking about.
Yeah.
And it's just fuck it. I'm going to have a margarita, listen to Pencil Thin Mustache.
And go to the beach.
Yeah. California, they don't have water because they didn't think about it for 20 years. They have the worst school system, yet they spend the most. So I laugh at my buddies. My buddies they send me a Huffington Post article. Guess who fucked a dog in Clearwater? You're like, oh, damn it. So it's one of those things where you're like, oh, shit, I can't defend that. But I'll look up where the guy's actually from. And it's like, oh, see, he's a deadbeat dad from Michigan.
Yeah.
So Texas and Florida are sanctuary states in that regard. If you fuck up, you can come over to those states. You can live cheap in a lot of areas. There's 20 million people in Florida, but a lot of it's not that dense. So you can get a badass trailer for $20,000. Those monthly payments aren't hard. So it's I talk about you're starting over a lot of ways. A lot of people come down here, whether it's an old person that's like, hey, I'm starting my second life as an old person now. I'm moving down to Arizona or Florida because it helps my joints. I think that's a lot of it. And when you have a lot of people that come in here, like Vegas almost, but a whole state, there's not a lot of people that are like, yeah, fucking love it. There's not a lot of pride. Where are you from in the Midwest?
Illinois. I'm from Chicago. Can't you tell by my most obvious accent of all time?
I didn't know if you're going to go I'm from Chicagoland. I'm from, you're going to name a suburb.
Arlington Heights.
Palatine or something like that.
How do you know about Palatine, dude? It's right next door.
I've been everywhere, man. I've done gigs everywhere.
Do you know where the racetrack is in Palatine? I live right there.
I had to do some kind of business there for the greenest house in the country.
I know where that is.
Yeah, I had to go there. I worked for an air purifier company for a while.
Wow, man.
And
it's a small world.
well, they're Asian, so they just be like, send the guy who speaks English to whatever we have to show up to. So that's what I did. And they're like, he likes to talk. I was like, okay. And then I go do Zanies for a week. So it'd be cool.
Where are some of the best places that you have ever performed? Because it seems like you like Chicago. Is that
Love
the
it.
Place? Anywhere else?
Dude, I just talked to Joe Madden, the GM of the Cubs yesterday, randomly.
How?
I was waiting. We were both waiting at a car repair place. And
Does he live down here in Tampa?
yeah, apparently. I didn't know either. Like, I was like, is that him? Because I didn't recognize him because he was wearing he was wearing something I wouldn't expect the manager for the former manager of the Tampa Bay Rays, current manager of the Chicago Cubs. He was wearing like a cutoff workout shirt, and it was like one of those snow camouflage style. It was like a little too flashy. I was like, is that him? And then I looked at like the piece of paper on the desk. The guy was like, all right, we can have your car in a week or something like that. And I was like, oh, it is him. So I went outside and talked to him, and I was like, hey, I'm a big fan. And I had like one of the coolest 10-minute conversations because I really respect the guy. And if you read the book, The Extra 2%, his philosophy, you have to do 2% better than the next guy, the best guy.
Yeah.
And that was their theory with the Rays. But great philosophy to live by. We just bought a house in our neighborhood.
Nice.
I want to be a better neighbor, and outdo in whatever way. Not like we're gonna have better ornaments, but better like I'll help out someone down the street, whatever. I don't want to, but I'll do it. And same with our business. We need to get ahead of anybody that's coming at us. And then we started talking about Chicago, and he was like, he was giving me places, I was like, all right, you're in my Man Crush Hall of Fame. You know this, right? I didn't say that to him.
You should have.
I've got a Man Crush Hall of Fame. Bo Jackson's the head of it. He's right in there somewhere, though. And it's like, he was like, you got to go to the Metro, man. Have you ever been there? And I was like, no. And he was telling me all about it. He's like, it's near Wrigley. You got to go next time you're there. Like I would tell you about a place, but I'm just.
Are there places down here? It seems like there's not that much culture here.
Oh,
it's very strange.
Bullshit, man. I'll get you a Tim Dorsey book. It'll teach you all about Florida.
I just feel like I'm in the bad part of St. Pete. I'm off of 22nd Avenue North where there's nothing.
You're creating your own glass ceiling, my friend. There's so much to do in the area that no one goes out of their way to find out. It's not going to come to you like a dense city, You've got to go. I want to see what's going on. You've got the Dolly Museum. Have you done that?
No.
Okay. Well, let's start there. I mean, there's a big cat rescue place that's awesome. If you're not into creationism, you can go to Dinosaur World right after Tampa. St. Pete has an awesome art community that I don't even know about that well. Sarasota actually has a possibly even better artist community. I think they're one of the few cities that has it's almost like the EGOT for entertainers, but it's like they've got a full-time symphony, full-time theater, opera, and there's a fourth thing I can't remember. So there's plenty of stuff around. It's just it's not going to come to you like New York or Chicago. You got to go find it.
What about the sports fans down here? I really don't dig it because I lived in Cleveland for 4 months because I worked in radio out there, and they're very passionate. They're very drunk and angry, but I just don't feel anything down here, dude. Besides if I'm working at a Lightning game, then I feel it. But when it comes to the Buccaneers or Rays, nothing, dude.
Lightning actually has a crazy good fan base.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's actually – I thought I saw something that said they're the most passionate fan base. I think they did it by percentage of people that live in the city versus I don't know, TV. I don't know. It was one of those silly polls. But I feel like a lot of people were just like, I'm going to be a hockey fan that grew up here because they're like, it's too goddamn hot 6 months out of the year. with the Rays, the experience is rough. That extra 2% book, if you get that, it'll go over the whole thing. They built Tropicana before they had a team. It's the ballsiest move of all time. And then the guy who owned it made the worst deal of all time with St. Pete to lease it for 30 years. So St. Pete won't let the Rays leave unless they pay like a crazy amount of money. And we're talking about leaving to go to Tampa. So there's more semantics with that. I think if that stadium was in downtown Tampa, it could kind of be a great. I'm not for public stadiums, but I would be for a baseball stadium in downtown Tampa because it could really connect Channelside, downtown Tampa, Ybor, and Tampa Heights right in the middle of that. And then you can get more Orlando people coming in to watch a game, or Lakeland people too.
And it doesn't help that it's in a very bad part of town.
No, and there's nothing to do except for one bar.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I work over there. I give out pizzas to the bad neighborhoods. It's very fun not getting tipped. And, dude, I'm scared for my life in the bad parts. You just keep going down Martin Luther King Drive. You go by that lake. Do you know where that is, that forest? Down Martin Luther King Drive when you go past the...
Is that where Delman Young sent pictures or like text to his pregnant wife where he's like, I'm going to kill you? Okay. No, I'm kidding. Don't worry about it. Who cares? And then the Bucks, it's again like, all right, so half of it's probably the transient thing that we were talking about earlier. There's not a lot of people that are from the areas because if you really got to compare it, you got to look at Miami and you got to look at Jacksonville and Orlando. And the fan base is there for a lot of the stuff, minus the Heat with LeBron and like a power team. Not the most loyal fan bases of all time. So
Miami's awful, dude.
Well, I'm a Heat fan. They're fun to go to, and all the women wear white pants. So I don't know who said this and who told me this, but women wearing white pants, they're not on their period. So they're DTF.
Bang them out.
Yeah. Plus they have like a Cuban bongo guy like in the middle of the crowd that plays when something awesome happens.
What did you think when everyone hated on that team when he took his talents to South Beach?
I get it. I mean, if something's too good, I think a lot of people are going to hate it, especially the way that went down. I'm going to do an hour or two press release. That's it's an ego thing that people are like, nah, fuck that. Fuck this guy. Because people have been following him since he was a kid, and then sometimes you get too cocky with something like that. Rubs people the wrong way.
But he had to get out of Cleveland for that point. I mean, because you're going from factories to beaches. People don't seem to realize that. Dude, I lived in Cleveland. I can't even describe the vibe, man. It's one of the most unhappiest places ever, but it's so loyal. It's just there's so much unhappiness. Like, when I lived there, I can just feel the vibe of depression. And when I came here, I felt the vibe of happiness, but being batshit crazy,
Yeah. Yeah, I've never been to Cleveland. I tell David Weingarten, comedian buddy of mine, I tell him this a lot. Cleveland's the only city that ever had the river on fire. So, did you ever know that? You ever heard
yeah,
that?
Lake Erie was on fire.
Yeah, so.
And, dude, the sun comes out 0 times. I never saw the sun during the winter. Negative 20-degree weather with snow.
I think weather plays a lot into people's kind of happiness index.
Dude, I was depressed during those 4 months, man. It was just weird. And all you do is drink. All you do. I mean, Fireball was $2 at each bar. I mean, it was just, let's get drunk.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, I do remember that being on the road, and we would do like Indiana and Nebraska because we had a comedian that was from there.
Yeah.
My buddy Nick Hoff, who's opening for Jeff Foxworthy and Larry the Cable Guy now, which is kind of crazy. He's doing he showed me a picture. It's like, look, not our favorite comics. I'm sure not his favorite comics, but very
They're big names.
Really cool to go into a football stadium and do stand up with the place full. But he was telling me like he was like, "Oh, you don't know about Midwestern drinking, huh?" And I was like, "No." And it was like, "Oh, everybody has a basement." And you just go downstairs and drink whiskey.
Oh, yeah.
You're not like an alcoholic because you barely move and you're too nice to like do anything crazy, for the most part. But I'm saying like, oh, you just go downstairs and secretly drink and just become that guy. I guess I don't know. It bummed me out too. I remember being in Indiana, Nebraska, and like a lot of people drinking. It's cold. I'm not going outside. Fuck this.
And then when you do go outside, it doesn't seem cold because you're so drunk. But then you wake up the next morning and you have a sore throat because it was cold outside. You know what I mean?
If you have a sore throat, if that's all you had, you got out clean, man. That's fucking awesome. Like, if like you don't, I wake up with bruises and shit, like and scrapes. I'm like, what the fuck happened to me? And then I have to do like I have to like look at my credit card history to figure
I have to
out
do that. You have to check Twitter.
Yeah,
Facebook.
you have to go. What did I do? Where's my online trail lead me? You become your own like NCIS.
Oh yeah, I have to do that too.
Yeah.
Check
I'm doing
the
True
text.
Detective. I'm
There's
talking
this
like
thing called
Russ Kroll.
drunk mode.
Drunk mode?
Download it. You block texts from certain people so you don't. Like whenever I'm drunk, I would call my aunt. I don't know why. But
Well, that's weird. Wait, let's talk about that. Why? Why would you call your aunt? Is she the cool aunt?
yeah,
Okay. Well, how is she not that much older than you?
she's like 56.
Okay. Was she the aunt that was like, here, sugar, here's like a margarita? You probably won't
No,
like
she just
it.
gave me good presents, and she's my godmom. So
So no like connection of like drinking early and like she gave me my first cinnamon whiskey shot, the first Fireball ever.
Normal people drunk text girlfriends, ex-girlfriends, people that want to bang. Ryan text his aunt. His
What?
mom.
Why? What's going on? Are you not getting? Wait.
oh yeah, let's get into this.
Yeah. Are you not getting your D wet?
Never.
No V card.
I banged out a few fans of radio, but they're like 49-year-old MILFs, and I was too drunk, so I haven't ever climaxed inside a woman.
Okay. Well, let's work on that, man. What? This is what I do, dude. It's consulting. So what? So what's the deal, man? You're working a lot, and you're doing this, and what you're doing the radio stuff too.
Yeah, so I work at the Bone. I do promotions. I work pizza 24/7, so that's kind of I get burnt out of that job. I mean, it keeps me here in Florida.
What's that job?
Delivering pizzas, doing the dishes, making dough, and I do that 4 times a week. I am going on a date on Saturday with this 29-year-old Mike Kelta fan.
You don't have to get
Tickets
aggressive about it. That's a bad start.
I'm like pointing.
I got you flowers. Yeah, I think. Well, I think the pizza gig's the thing that's kind of hurting you, man.
Can I tell this story?
Yeah.
From yesterday?
No.
I won't do any names. No, nothing
Yeah.
like that. Okay. So he's trying to show me around this place. Okay.
Uh-huh.
A girl that he's got a crush on is there. All right. So we
Okay.
walk in. We're walking to the building. This guy freaking Spartan kicks this door in. All right. Hey, this is my friend. I'm showing him around. Like immediately, you got to see the way he walks. He has this goofy, like giddy bop.
Yeah, you don't know
going.
how like when you're like he's going outside. So there you go. Oh, okay. I didn't know if you're
you need
pantomiming it.
The kick. This guy, this is the building, and like kicks in this door. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Well,
He gets around females, and this is how it goes, I guess.
Well, I mean, like, look, that's a lot of us. It's not like no matter how big of a friend you have, that's like a badass that just gets his dick wet all the time. Like, at some point, it was way earlier, but at some point, he didn't know. He felt like, Mr. Magoo, kind of like walking around with the bravado of a UFC fighter.
And now he has goo.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Mm-hmm. In his balls. All right.
That's why
Yeah.
I'm not a
I'm gonna
comedian.
yes and that all the way until he goes home, blows it in a sock. Well, so to me, you got to get around. You probably need a job. You're capable of a better job. It sounds like. Yes.
Damn right, dude. Look at me. I got everything going on.
Well, I mean, no. If you're competent, you can do another job.
Yeah.
Again, adults, stupid and or lazy. So I've worked with enough clients and enough like freelancers and stuff. If you're just competent and on top of your shit, you don't know how valuable you are. Like even setting this up, you're on top of it. You sent me all the info, all that stuff. We got it scheduled. There's a lot of people that would just forget halfway through and never follow up. And that's a lot of business. And that's a lot of like doing a job.
Yeah.
So why not? I'd say you can do a better job than doing pizza stuff. I mean, even a bar back at a bar is.
That's what I'm trying to get.
Well, how are you trying? By thinking about it and then not applying?
Yeah.
Well, that's not good. That I'm not sure if you dream about it, it's going to happen. I'm not a believer in predestination or being lucky. I think you make your own luck. And I think you have to get out of your comfort zone, go, up to the owner on an off night, a Monday or Tuesday, and go, hey, I would like to be a bartender some point. Can I be a bar back? Is there any bar back position? Then I'll probably say no.
Can you make money off of being a bar back?
Yeah, it depends on the bar. You need to look at the bar economics. It's like, does this bar pull in a lot of money all the time? Does the owner have his shit together? That's another thing. From working in bars, I used to be a bartender, and it's like, I fucking love Bar Rescue. And that shit's 100% real. Everybody thinks it's fake. Bar and restaurant owners are batshit crazy. And so if they're not business oriented, it's going to be tough. But yeah, you need to scout it out. Even if you're just walking by and you're like, okay, I think this bar does well. They have a lot of employees, and this is going to wrap back around to you doing a little stabbing. Is working at a bar is the best, even if you're a bar back.
Ladies, there's alcohol there.
You're forced to be social a lot when you don't want to be, and that's a lot of it. And you're gonna have to talk to a lot of drunk people that would be like, "Hey man, get your beer." You're like, "I can't. I'm just getting glasses." But
yeah.
But you learn how to have that conversation a lot better, and you're gonna be around a lot more, hot girls that are waitresses and bartenders, and that kind of. And then you're like, okay, and you learn how to talk to everybody. Plus, working at a restaurant when you're young and a bar when you're young is the best. It's super stressful, but it doesn't sound like pizza's laid back. But it gives you that grit. Like, I've done this kind of manual labor, and people talk shit to me while they're wasted, but I could do it, and then I work my way up to bartender eventually,
What is the one job that you had that taught you everything or taught you the most, like, things in life?
None. There's no one catch-all.
Yeah.
You learn different things along the way, And when I started doing stand-up, I worked at a mutual fund company in Santa Monica called Dimensional Fund Advisors. And I learned a lot about being a professional. And that was really great. I was around a lot of smart people. One of my bosses just won a Nobel Prize in economics. It was great learning experience. I learned how passive investing, active investing. Then I was a stand-up on my own. I quit my job in the recession and then became a stand-up. Real smart.
It sounds like you're all over the place, doing all kind of different stuff.
Yeah.
Your law stuff, your comedy stuff, sports. What's your main squeeze? What are you going after the most?
Mona Terizio Smith. That's my main squeeze.
Well,
that's my wife, who's also a great stand-up comedian. No, I don't know. I heard a quote that was like, if you want to be successful or you want to be rich, do one thing, do it well, figure it out, maximize that the best you can. If you want to be satisfied and you have a lot of interests, try to do all those in some capacity. And so, I love Tampa. I love college football. I don't have the time to watch as much as I did, or read as much as I used to. I love stand-up. I don't want to do it 100% because I think you have to have an interesting life to talk about, or you have to have interesting angles to talk about. And so I think starting my own company, it's been crazy. It's when we were scheduling this out, I was like, I basically have a CEO schedule, but I look like someone that but right now I look like a guy that is working at a gym, like some shitty trainer, some alcoholic trainer.
Yeah, I didn't see that coming when I went down and got you from downstairs and brought you out. I didn't see the whole CEO, and I know the craziness of starting up a company. I've done it.
Yeah,
I've done it. I started.
What'd you do?
And I got a patent out. I actually almost got on Shark Tank. Started
Oh.
talking with the producers and whatnot. That ended up falling through, but I got a patent out. It's called Cap It. It's pretty cool.
What is it?
Um,
Oh wait, let's not talk about it.
okay, yeah, I know.
Do an NDA. Always do a non-disclosure agreement.
Yeah, I already got the patent. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Anyways,
all right.
So
No, you can have a patent, but you can also have patent trolls against you, and you can also have someone that will copy what you do, change it
minute. Yeah.
change it a little bit. So it's always good to just have an NDA. You can get a boilerplate one online on like LegalZoom or something like that. Always good to have that. Hey! Oh my gosh!
Hey, look who the fuck came in here. It's Johnny B.
Hey, buddy!
Talking to the mic and don't just hump the...
What mic? Your mic? I'm taking over Hoppe Hour. What's up, Law Smith?
He's out of breath.
So you're a stand-up comic?
Uh-huh.
How's that working out?
You need a
for
little bit more Midwestern.
Is it working out for you overall?
Did
Did I tell you I'm from Cleveland?
Chicago.
I'm from Chicago, but I worked in Cleveland.
Do you mess that up on purpose to piss him off?
with this dickhead named I
almost-
forget his name now. What? Grover.
Grover?
Fuck, I don't know.
Is that a real guy in here? In this
Where
building?
can we see you do stand-up comedy?
I'll be at the Chuckle Hut on Pico.
Oh, my mom worked at the Chuckle Hut. It's where she met my dad. He was 7'4". He raped her in a bathroom.
Oh, God, Hoppy, that got sad. Why?
My show's starting in 2 minutes. Bye.
You
See
smell
ya.
like rotten milk, by the way.
Rotten milk?
Yeah.
Why would you say that? I just put on a clean shirt. Really?
I'm kidding.
I just put on a clean hockey jersey.
Yeah.
I feel like hockey jerseys are never washed.
It just came out. I hate you.
Love you, buddy.
Well, you're talking shit, but I can't.
Your mama.
He did smell like rotten milk, by the way.
He's got seniority. You can't talk shit.
Yeah, I really need to shut my mouth. I'm in promotions.
Why not a full-time gig with promotions or part-time paid?
I've been here 6 months, man. I got to get my way up.
Yeah. Okay. That's 6 months is good, man. Yeah. As long as you're like, with something like that where you're like, I'll do whatever it takes. You got to kind of always do a little self-reflection at the end of the day. How can I get better?
Yeah.
And that's a parallel to doing this. If a bunch of people are tweeting you, let's say you have 1,000 people that listen or 10,000 or whatever, 10% are tweeting at you, hey, the audio levels are fucked up, man. You got to work on that.
Yeah.
You got to work on it. But most people don't do that, And then you listen and you go, yeah, they are fucked up. We got to work on this. We might need some headphones, maybe a pop filter.
Yeah, man. I don't choose the room I do it in, so.
No, I know. I'm just fucking with you.
I know. You're a comedian.
It's one of those things where whatever you're doing, look, this goes. I've been thinking about this a lot. So this goes to, we just bought a house, and it's like everyone's like, well, good luck, man, because it never stops. And I was like, yeah, I know, nothing really ever stops. It's like you do a project, maybe that's one thing, that's a one-off thing, but you should learn from it, and it may you may be able to do whatever you learn from that somewhere else.
Yeah.
So I guess I like, if I have any like anything to like tell anybody, like, how old are you?
22.
Just keep your schedule full with a lot of shit to do. You don't know like whether it's going to help you or not while you're doing it, but usually it does. I can tell you the worst thing to do is to do nothing.
Oh, I hate that. I hate when I have nothing to do and I'm just watching Aqua Teen Hunger Force at my house with my cat.
Well, you gotta get your chill on. Like, don't burn yourself out. I do that a lot too. And
oh yeah, me too.
I'm trying to work on some kind of discipline to be like,
But
no work after X time.
But you're in a different position. I'm trying to make it in life. You're more comfortable with a wife and a house.
Oh, no, never comfortable. No,
You
we
know
already
what
got
I
this
mean.
house. I'm trying to think about getting the next house.
See, I'm just trying to get a full-time job with decent pay. Like,
Right,
I
when
have
you-
so many dreams in my life that I just want to make them come true.
Hey, as corny as it is, I have a chalkboard in our bedroom. We write it up. What do we want to do? And for both of us, me and my wife. So the first thing you wake up, you're going to see that. And it's going to be like, all right, part of it will be like, what do we want to do as a family? And that was buying a house. We did it. And the next thing will be like, we want to make an in-law suite to the house. One thing was like, what do we want to do? Physically, I want to get back down to 183 and was running a half marathon. What do we want to do spiritually? Maybe we want to figure out how to do transcendental meditation, or do something like that. TM?
What's that?
It's TM's like, from what I understand, it's basically you get some kind of like saying you say over and over, and it's supposed to quell your mind so you're not thinking about anything. And if anything, we're all on smartphones. You have so many triggers throughout the day.
Yeah, man.
It's hard to shut it off for 20 minutes.
I do notice that. I really believe I have an addiction to Twitter and Facebook. I really believe I'm growing this ego, being badass Ryan on Calta, having happy hour. I really believe I need to have a new persona off air because I do so much trying to make it in radio that I feel like I need to find Ryan Hoppe and not Ryan Hoppe from Happy Hour or Bone Hoppe.
Well, I mean, don't look. I think that's the stuff you got to talk about on your podcast. I think that's what makes podcasts great. I was telling y'all off air, I listened to Pete Holmes, and I love the storyline of his. And I think if you have listeners now, they might really enjoy you trying to work on yourself a little bit. And you're going to fail. Like Mark Maron's podcast, I love. He got engaged to like a 29-year-old chick, and then it didn't work out. And he talked about it, and it was real. It was authentic, and it was like, oh, this is like if I talked to a buddy that was, whatever he is, 51 years old or something like that. And I think I gravitate more towards that than anything else when I'm listening to a podcast. But I don't think you need to be like, Harvey Dent, and like I've got to be these two different people.
Who's Harvey Dent?
Two-Face. Isn't that from Batman? All right.
Oh, got it.
It's all right. It's not.
No,
It's
I
not a
didn't.
big movie. And so, it's one of those things where, like going on stage as a comic or going on the radio or on a podcast. Yeah, it's not going to be you like hanging out with your cat. It's going to be like, all right, I'm here for a reason. And I always thought of stand-up as like be 10 or 20% more of yourself.
Yeah.
And same thing
So
with radio.
maybe be more open and just be real and don't try and be a different persona.
Yeah, sit down and write. Write what's going on. I don't know. You got to try things out and go. It's not like it's an idiosyncratic thing to sit down and write every day. A lot of people should do it. If you're Catholic, you believe in self-reflection.
See, that's the one thing. Is my mom is so religious that it makes me sick. Like, she's just so Roman Catholic. Like, she's against gay marriage and abortion. Like, she's just so religious that I respect she believes that much, but it makes me sick at the same time. And I don't really believe in anything, but I feel like I need something in my life. I don't know if it's a girlfriend or a hobby, but I need something that is besides radio. I think I'm so focused on making it that it's getting unhealthy.
It's not booze, it's not drugs, and it's not a chick. I'll tell you that much. You should pedal with all those, but if you're trying to fill that kind of void, that's not it. And I'll tell you, I volunteer a lot for selfish reasons, and I think a lot of people do too, whether they know it or not. I think it's called psychological egoism.
Where you want to come off like a good person, even though you are, but you're forcing it.
Yeah, I'm doing it to make myself feel better, essentially.
And to look good.
Sure. But I mean, like, donating your time that would otherwise be spent with your cat and Aqua Team Hunger Force.
Greatest show, dude.
But it doesn't matter because the recipient in that giving, they get something out of it. Whether you are there for altruistic reasons or selfish reasons, doesn't matter. And you may find out I loved at Thanksgiving time, Metropolitan Ministries used to do. They need people they need guys basically to move a lot of big stuff, and you can't really think. You're getting yelled at. You walk in and it's like chaos, and all they need is just guys to move stuff, and it's like almost 4 hours of just doing that, and it's exhausting and it's rough, but it's also kind of exhilarating, and it's kind of you feel like you did something for the area that you otherwise wouldn't have done. It's a different feeling. I'm sure you've done charity, and I don't know, it's that thing where you can't think, you're just doing it. And that's kind of what meditation is. Don't think.
What is the key to meditation? Because there's this lady named Anita Moorjani. Have you heard of her?
I've never done meditation. I'm saying that's something we may aspire to.
I meditate to this tape, and it's all right, but I can't focus because Anita Moorjani talks about she had like a near-death experience. So in the clip, it's like eerie music, and then she's like, you can relax now, and she kind of gives you a play-by-play.
Have you done yoga?
No.
Try yoga. Go to my friend Ronnie's place, Bella Prana.
Yeah.
In the last 10 minutes, that's basically all it is. She's basically just calming you down after 40 minutes of kind of stretching.
Yeah.
And if you're not limber like I'm not, those 40 minutes I can't think either because I'm just trying to do what I'm supposed to do. So that's something I was like, I need to get back into that. And you'll find like you got to let your brain you just got to do stuff. I told my wife, I was like, I have to do something physical every day. Otherwise I'll get depressed.
So like working out or
playing sports or, doing something, most of that is working out or playing some kind of sport, or if I'm lucky enough, go kayaking or do something like that. But I was like, it's so ingrained in me. If I don't do it, I get really bummed out after a while. So there's science behind it, endorphins, all that shit. We're primal, we're monkeys,
We really are.
And we sit around in a sedentary life, and it's kind of crazy how little we do.
I think I'm way too sedentary. I think that's one of my major problems.
So get up and walk around, man.
Yeah.
I take old man Jewish walks, as I call it. If I'm in my office and we're stressed out, we need to talk about a client, my partner and I was like, let's go take a walk around Ybor, and let's kind of flesh some of these ideas out, because we're not doing any good staring at computer screens, kind of talking to each other.
Yeah, I think it's getting very unhealthy because it's just we always look at our phone. We always have to check Facebook and Twitter when we wake up. And I feel like it's sort of taking over the world and just getting unhealthy. That's
the thing that's filling your void. I don't check my shit nearly as much if I'm doing a lot of stuff. And I know what you're talking about. When you got nothing going on, you're like, I'm going to check this 17 times a day. And then you're like, oh, I'm reading the same messages 4 or 5 times. This is not good.
Yeah.
And you got to put that energy somewhere else. Now, maybe you don't know what it is yet, but maybe it's looking for that next position instead of pizza boy. Or, maybe it's like I have aspirations, to do X, Y, and Z. It has nothing to do with what I'm currently doing, but...
What do you think about just doing what you want to do all the time? Like my passion for radio. Do you think it's healthy to just do it almost all the time?
No, because you're not going to have shit to talk about.
Yeah.
You're only going to you're going to be one of those radio guys that like only talks about the radio game. I think the more interesting people, like Howard or Corolla, guys I really like, they do a lot of stuff. And they look around and kind of see.
Observe.
They observe, but that's innate. A lot of what they have is innate with that. You can work on that. But they also do a lot of stuff. and it gives them that ability to take that observation and maybe have an opinion locked and loaded. You know?
You've just mind fucked my brain, dude.
Perfect.
You've left me speechless. I'm never speechless.
I hear that so many times, man. No. I go if you're like, man, I'm inside. It's dark. I was gonna Netflix and chill with my own dick.
Netflix is not healthy.
No. Netflix is fine. It's the user. It's user error, as they call it in the nerd game. You got to go out and go. If I watch too much Netflix, I'm like, fuck this. I'm out. I'm walking. I'm gonna go do something. You know, and I've been there. I'm not saying I'm.
Oh no, you're just leaving me absolutely speechless.
No, like go to downtown St. Pete and just sit on a bench, turn your phone off, and watch old people around there, or watch douchebags drive up in like a Maserati and see how they act.
What do you do when you watch old people?
I don't know, just sit there, talk to them. Old people love talking to kids. Like, you can learn a lot. Like, we have a culture of old is shitty, and it's like, no, it's actually, you can, I'm not saying they're 100% correct, but you can learn a lot. Or you can learn how their generation thinks about something.
Yeah, they look down on us a lot.
Yeah, because we say, ugh, gross, wrinkles. You know, like, it sucks. It's sweeping both ways, generalization-wise, but it's one of those things where change that up.
I think it's going to be a thing where in like 10 to 20 years, when my whole generation and the millennials get older, it's going to really hit us, and we're going to go, we probably shouldn't have been like that 20 years ago. You know what I mean? Because my generation just thinks we're going to be young forever. YOLO, let's do ecstasy, let's take 5 pills at once. I think it's going to really hit those douchebags.
Well, all right. In my business mind thinks that's opportunity for you to be the non-douchey millennial.
That's my goal.
Yeah. So it's kind of like working on yourself. It's not easy. Like, the answers I'm giving are simple. Execution's really difficult. I'm not saying this is easy stuff to apply, you know, but that's what makes it worthwhile. So, like, when I was telling you about the Pig Jig event we donate to, it's not fun. I don't like it at all. But I know the best beer I'll have is the beer at the end of it when we raise $600,000 for this charity.
Yeah.
It sucked. The 2 weeks before are shitty. And it's a lot of work, and it's a lot of just frustration and trying to work with your friends and, you know, dealing with whatever. But nothing's more satisfying than, like, oh, we all work together on this, and you learn a lot. You don't realize it during the period of time you're doing it. Same with the improv class. I didn't know why I was doing it. I thought it could help my stand-up, and I had no idea it would help pretty much my life.
What are some things you have done, Kyle? Because you're 4 years older than me. You've seen the world. What are some things you've done?
I mean, what do you mean? As far as
just like how he's saying everything he does in his life and to see the world. What are some things you do to experience it?
I mean, I've gone all over the place. I came, out of the Marine Corps. I traveled. I did 2 deployments. One to Iraq, one to Afghanistan. I've been to both. Been to California. I've been to Missouri, North Carolina, California. Or I think I already said California, New York. Came out of that. And, I don't know, got in a mechanic. I got married as soon as I got back. Got married, had a daughter. She's 3 now. Now I have a son, 5 months old, Wyatt. I've done a little bit of everything. When I came out, I got into diesel mechanics for a little bit. Got out of that. Was a wrecker operator, the big tow truck, for a while. Got in with the...
You can see how that industry is awesome.
Which one?
The tow truck industry.
Oh, yeah. It's fun. My first time I ever got a call was a train versus semi. It's pretty legit.
Oh, you were doing cool stuff. I was talking about the tow truck drivers.
Oh, no, not the flatbed on the side of the road. No, the semi drive, the semi...
I want to make a tow truck company to tow truck drivers. I fucking hate them. Sorry. Not the commercial guys. Those guys are all right. But like, okay, so and this is my theory with a lot of my buddies who did what you did, kind of thing. It goes one of two ways. You either become super disciplined, which sounds like you pretty much are, or like I had a buddy that he was like he became a U.S. Ranger, and he pretty much lost most of his 20s doing 4 tours. And
yeah, I got guys that go batshit crazy, man. They get out and they go nuts.
Well, yeah. And I try to explain it to a lot of people. I'm like, you guys don't realize, like, he from 18 to pretty much 27, he basically was doing this and this only, and now he's making up for lost time.
Yeah. When I turned 21 in Afghanistan.
Right.
You know how much drinking I made up when I came back?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And it doesn't kind of work that way, but you can't tell anybody that. You know, you can't go, oh, well, you can just party for the next 4 years because that you're not.
You missed it. You missed it. You might as well make up the time. You know.
Well, no, I would totally do the same thing, but I'm saying like you don't realize until later it doesn't really work that way.
And I did. Even though I was married when I got out, I kind of went crazy. I tried that whole I'm going nuts thing and fell on my face real quick. Like, okay, this isn't where I want to be.
Right.
I don't want to be living with my parents. I don't want to be, you know. So we just actually bought our first house as well.
Oh,
about
mazel tov.
2 months ago.
Nice.
So out in Land Lakes, it's nice. You know, I was thinking, you know, I want my own stuff. I want my own house. My family go out and do their own thing. So I started that progression that Hoppe's about to start.
Yeah.
You know, you just start moving forward, keep going. I got on with a good company right now, driving for them. Trying to start Cap It Up.
Yeah.
You know, trying to start the company up.
And be the dad that's around.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's a lot. Being your dad is just kind of being around a little bit, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And that's good. How old are you? I forgot. I'm
25.
Sorry. Yes, but you're basically more of an adult in a lot of ways than I am. I'm 31.
Oh, man. It's funny coming back from the military and thinking, okay, my boys gonna be doing this, and that. You come back, hey man, what are you doing? I still work at McDonald's. You know, I still like, what did you do with all your time? Like, what have you? It's
tough, man. And maybe that's something you find out too. Maybe you work with the I can't remember the charity. I had a friend that used to work at it. It was like helping that job placement, so that gap doesn't happen where you just fall back into, you know, a job you should have had when you're 15 like that.
Coming back, I mean, once I got onto this company, I've gotten 4 people hired so far. I think 3 of them are my friends. One of the guys was, one guy that I met that was looking for something. I got him on.
Yeah.
And as my boss always asked, like, why? Well, how do you get these people? Like, I like helping people. I see them sitting there and idling. Say, hey, step into this.
Right.
Come with me. I'm working my way up. Come with me.
And the military guys, you're like, they're malleable.
Oh, yeah.
You can, in a sense that they'll listen to rules, which a lot of people won't.
Just do something as simple as just doing your job.
People are looking at us outside.
So just somebody, as simple as doing
They're
your job.
like, this shit's too serious. What's going on?
Who is it? Did you see who it was?
It looked like Trayvon Martin. So maybe it was a black dude in a hoodie. So I don't know.
Interesting.
Is that Trayvon? I don't know.
I don't know. I'm scared for my life though. I'm worried now. Can you walk me out to my car after this?
No, he's cool. Just don't steal the Skittles. It's what a piece of shit story that got fucking thrown out the nation. Again, another story that's like, hey, guess who fucked up in Florida? Where are we at?
Whose side are you on with that?
Where are you at time wise? I hate the media. That's really what I hate. Ooh. All right, I got to get out of here in like 7 minutes. You could keep me for a while, but wifey wants date night, so that's
hopefully wifey will give you sex later.
Hopefully. It's not guaranteed. We'll see.
What a weird comment from a virgin.
No. It's probably on your mind a lot.
Yes.
I didn't lose my virginity until I was 21. So I know how it is. Mine was more religious when I was growing up. I was like, I wanted to save it for marriage and didn't realize how dumb that was. But I also probably wasn't mature enough to do it. I'd probably just like blow my load and be like, oh shit. I'd have a kid like immediately, something like that. So it was like, I don't know. part of me is like, I wish I didn't wait, but it is what it is. And again, like doing a tour, I made up for lost time in my mid-20s when I was doing stand-up on the road.
Banged out a bunch of girls.
Yeah, I don't even have a good dick, so it was like, it's not impressive at all. And I have big thighs too, so it looks even smaller. I wish it was average. It's a C-. It's a bummer of a dick, but
How does your wife deal with it?
she's Asian, so there's a coefficient. Her vagina is sideways, which is 100% the first thing she ever said to me. The first night we started flirting, she was like, we were both doing a stand-up show, and she told me her vagina was sideways, and I was like, I love you forever. So, it's kind of a sweet story. I couldn't tell at our wedding, but, she, it's more emotional for women, by the way. It's not. There is a physical aspect. I'm not ignoring that, but I'm saying, like, for women, it's about how they feel going into it. There's a lot of buttering of bread without sounding gross.
Butter.
Not duck buttering your bread. Like, there's a lot of, like, a lot of women like to be flirted, have that flirty touch, but don't get into it too much. One thing I will say, and I'm not like a hater on millennials just because they're called millennials, but I will say, like, the porn stuff
It's bad.
fucks you up because that's what you think's normal. You see more of that. Bukkake? You're into that shit?
No.
Oh, I was like, God damn, dude. You just went from 0 to bukkake?
DPs.
Yeah, double anal, double vaginal.
Messed up.
Dude, that looks like such a bummer for the chick. Her face looks like it's gonna fucking explode. Like her head's like, no. That bums me out so bad. I can't even like.
It's sad.
I'll see that shit and I'm like, oh fuck, dude, why?
Like
Like
the
two
girl
girls, one
does not
cup.
look
You're
like she's
God,
having fun.
What the fuck, man? Why'd you show me that? Yeah. I don't know. I think that'll fuck you up.
The ending of porn is always sad with the target practice.
Well, depends which one you're watching, I guess. I don't know. I wasn't a big porn guy because I was like, you got to earn it after a while, which means like go out and get some puss.
Yeah. I have a lot of
Put that on
do.
your door frame. So Notre Dame has played like a champion today. Yours should be like, don't watch porn all night. Earn that
porn.
puss, and then you slap
There's
it.
this thing where once you climax, you immediately regret it. And I forget the name of the term, but every time I watch porn, I feel that way.
Manhood?
Porn, not so much. Banging fat chicks, yeah. Yeah.
Whatever, man. You got it.
At the end, you're like, why did I just do that?
They try harder.
What?
They try harder.
Oh, they do.
Yeah.
They do.
I bet they're freaks in the bedroom.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've never really had a biggin. I'm kind of a fattest when it comes to that, but I hear good things. I don't know. I feel like this is going downward very quickly.
It went from being deep about meditation to bukkake.
Well, look.
Welcome to Happy Hour.
It's all primal. We're all primal, man. You're gonna bang some. Almost everybody's banged someone they didn't want to at some point, but like guys are like
the girls that had sex with me.
I'll fuck her. I don't care. Like, why aren't you on Tinder?
I am. It's bad.
All right, what's your Tinder profile picture? Because that's a lot of it.
It's me winning the award.
Okay, most chicks won't know what that is. Here's what I did for my buddy Zach. He moved to town. My Auburn buddy.
Here, do you want to hear my description once you're done with?
Well, I go, hey, get a picture of my dog. She's really adorable. Every chick loves our dog. Take a picture of our dog. You'll look like a sensitive guy. And he's like, dude, I can't tell you how well that worked. He got more hits on Tinder after that.
Does that work with cats?
No, because guys that have cats, it's not a red flag.
It is a red flag.
It's like a yellow flag. It's like encroachment. It's not the worst thing, but there's something it's not a positive.
So, Law, I currently work in radio at 102.5 The Bone, and I relocated here back in May. I worked in radio in Cleveland back in the winter.
This is your profile? Oh, buddy,
like LinkedIn.
buddy.
Nobody's going to take time to read that. You understand that, right? Like, it's the
All you
swipe
put it-
left, swipe right, be done with it.
Right. Well, if you're going to put anything, you just put
What should I have, Law? Teach me.
working radio, podcast host. You keep it simple. You're giving too much.
It's like LinkedIn.
Yeah, you're giving way too much. But you sprinkle in a little joke in there. Podcast host.
But I love DPs.
Work at 102.5. Love DPs. Own a pizza joint. Lie a little bit. And then, just keep it real simple, like guys do. Because the more like shit you give women in this scenario, the more you're going to get exposed. And they're going to be like, if they actually read that, they're going to be like, just telling you, keep it concise. Brevity is the soul of wit, my friend.
Damn, dude. Where can people find your work? Because I know you got to go to that date with your wife and then bang her out later. So where can people find your work?
I hope. I'm gonna come inside my wife. Hopefully, we're gonna try to have a kid. So
Target practice.
she pushes my butt cheeks in, which is unusual after pulling out for years. You get that muscle memory,
Yeah.
Like when you get a new car, like a different car. If you get a new car, and you're like, oh, the way the door opens, the open handle is different, but your hand goes that way, where the old one was. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna come in my wife. It's lawsmithworks.com. I probably should update that. And then Cigar City Comedy is our stand-up comedian group in the Tampa Bay area. You heard Johnny B, who looks like Uncle Fester, and Kevin Smith had a baby. And then our company's Toco Works, TOCOWORKS.com.
I'll be sure to tweet that out, too.
I appreciate it. And if anybody needs some business help, I'm happy to answer any questions, for sure. And then what else? Triple Option Podcast, if you're a college football fan. Sweat Equity coming out probably next week. I'll be in the Creative Loafing, I think, in a couple weeks. And our legal podcast, Objection.
Well, man, you killed it. I loved what you did the first time I
Thanks,
saw
man.
you, so I knew you would kill it on the show. I didn't know it would be an hour and a half of deep conversations, but you killed it.
Oh, man, we're all treading the water. You
Damn
know?
right, man.
All right, buddy.
All right, thanks, dude, and go get laid tonight. Come and your wife.
Yeah.
What a way to end Happy Hour.
Happy Hour. Happy Hour.
This is an official broadcast of Hoppe Radio. For more info, check out hoppyradio.com and hoppysworld.com.